we talk to a lot of athletes, and a lot of athletes have a very big, good tunnel vision where they just focus on themselves. You seem to truly be a fan of the sport. Like, everybody, their stories, and that's really kind of refreshing to hear. Um, did you watch a lot of stuff before you did it yourself?
Um, yeah, I think I'm not that I don't love CrossFit, but I'm less of a fan now that I'm an athlete. And like I read up on people less now that I'm an athlete than I did when I was pre, a semis qualifier and everything like that. I think honestly, like the athletes like Sarah, for instance, like Cara Saunders and all of them, they got me into the sport. And so that's probably why I know like bits about them. But now that I'm an athlete, I've kind of had to take that step back and as you say, it's not personal, it's business, but I've unfollowed some of them on Instagram because like they are now competitors and I don't need to be stressing about the fact that they're repping out at my 1 rep max and stuff like that. Like it's not, something that is conducive to what I'm trying to do. And so I definitely would say that kind of knowledge, I guess, and fan side of it has shifted for me in the last year or so, kind of recognizing that my role within the CrossFit world has changed as well.
Yeah, and I think the media, has grown with the sport as well. And so probably when you were coming up in the sport, prior to you making semis and things like that, there's a lot of content out there to be had versus, people coming up in 2014, 2015, there was less coverage. There wasn't, all of these news outlets and nobody had their own blogs and all that. So I think it was more accessible to you, which is interesting. But curious about that, you shutting off Instagram and things like that. Was that something you did on your own, or were you working with someone like a coach or a mindset coach that sort of gave you that recommendation?
No, I mean, I definitely that was kind of off my own accord, but it was probably based on like conversations that I'd had with my coach and things like that, or my manager or general like friends and family. Just sometimes trying to recognize the effect that had on me. It was more. It was just stressful things of like I say, watching someone rep at my PB and that kind of thing, because everyone blooming posts their lifts, don't they? They love a lift, like, because it looks good on Instagram. But I'm not the best at lifting, and so for me, that's really stressful. And I don't need to see that. Like, it. No one's gonna, film their full 5K run and show that on the Instagram because it would just look boring. But those are the kind of things that I'm better at, coming from swimming, coming from an endurance background. The things that I'm good at are not Insta worthy. So I think that's the thing. Like for me, it was noticing that the things that people tend to post on Instagram are my weaknesses essentially. And so I think that was the thing that I was like, this is not helpful for me. Just trying to like recognize that the way that it was making me feel was not something that is beneficial for my performance. And that was the thing that then caused me to either mute them or just unfollow